Hello and welcome to this week's Scots Sports Show. I am your host, Tyler Trumbauer. The men's and women's swim teams are gearing up for the PSAC Championships, which are upcoming on February 19th through the 22nd in York, Pennsylvania. But they took a little time out of their busy schedule to come preview the championships with me today. And to do that, I have the head swim coach, Chris Rhodes, and senior member of the women's swim team, Staci Schrecongost. Let's get started right away looking at this upcoming PSAC championship. Coach, to start off though, how do you feel this regular season has gone? I mean, it's been a very successful one for the men's team compared to last season. I know you really like to get everything you can out of your swimmers. You like to work them to the bone sometimes and see how much they can push their limits when it comes to swims. So how did you feel about this season?
This season has gone extremely well. Goals coming in that I had for our team were, winning records on for both the men and women. We established that, as individuals, lifetime best. Like to see that, and I think we have everybody across the board, 100%, has at least one lifetime best. But what's really significant about this season is, we're losing essentially 3 seniors to graduation, so we're a young team, and to watch the growth of the young swimmers come through the program has just been phenomenal. We've had some really great swims, and they're training well, and I really expect us to have some even better swims here in 2 weeks.
Staci, for yourself, I know we talked in the beginning of the season. You had very high goals for this season, which rightfully so after what you accomplished in your junior year. How do you feel this season has gone for yourself individually and for the women's team overall?
Well, like Coach said, overall we are rebuilding. We're young. We lost a lot of people last year. But given that our team is young, we're full of enthusiasm. We're together all the time. We like to be together. We're encouraging all the time. It's how we get through those tough workouts that he gives us. For myself, I am going into PSACs with a calm mind. Being given where I'm seated, there's a lot of girls I'm sure that would want to take me down, and given rightfully so, I've been in their spot too, and I'm going to go in. I've had my training. I'm going to do the best that I can, and I come out with what I get.
Now, Coach, you said after the season finale meet against Malone that you're going to taper down a little bit, then just start gearing back up for the PSACs. So now you've probably gone through that lull period. What is training like right now for the upcoming championships? As each day goes by, you're getting closer and closer to that.
We do a lot of mental training now because the physical part is done. So now we're focusing on the mental aspect, really focusing a lot on technique as well. Want them to get the feeling of racing without getting torn down. So it's a great time of season as swimmers, and coaches. This is our Christmas. We're looking forward to it. So,
for the men's team, Coach, what would you like to see from them? Obviously, Staci can talk more to the women's team in a bit, but for the men's team, a lot. You've added guys to the roster this year. They've cultivated a new culture for the men's team this year with enthusiasm, and the success has come along with that as well. What have you seen from them? And then now that what you've seen, what they can accomplish, what would you like to see from them more going into the PSACs?
One thing that I've noticed, there's a lot more competition among the guys now in practice, and that's really allowing for some great swims, when it comes time for competition. Getting to the conference meet, it's a lot of fun, but at the same time, it's a lot of work. And, I think one thing that, I'm looking forward to is seeing them have fun because of the way they have worked. I think our guys can be, top 5, top 4, and I think that's a realistic goal for us. Again, we're a young team growing, and I just want them to get the experience of what it's like to be there, what's like to do well and to score.
Staci, for the women, obviously you said yourself you're a pretty high seed in the PSAC, so you're going to have a little bit of a target on your back when you're diving into the pool in York. But what would your message be to the other girls that maybe don't have that highest seed, or they're new to the PSACs because you have a little bit more experience when it comes to these postseason meets?
For the younger girls, on any given day, anything can happen. If you have the right mindset, and again, swimming is a big mental sport. because our training has gone immensely well. It's been perfect. We're all ready. So it's a mind game, and we all have to go in with that peace of mind. You go in with what you got, or with what you can, and you come out with an amazing swim, an amazing time, and you have to set your standards high.
So just to summarize for the viewers, what events are you going to be performing, and what are you going to be putting your focus on when you go to the PSACs, if you have that finalized yet?
Yes, I definitely do. I will be swimming the 500 free, the 200 free, and the 100 free. My biggest excitement will be the 200 free. I am seated first, and the 200 has always been my favorite event. It's just in between that sprint and a distance event, and I love going out and giving it everything I have. The feeling at the end, it's a great feeling. I love competing, I love racing, and PSAC is one of the times that I get to race people that are going to push me, and it's exciting, and I'm going to be excited to race. It's
interesting you mentioned that level of competition that makes you reach and maybe another level within yourself.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like track runners and cross-country runners say the same thing. Do you feel that when you have competition that's right at your level, that makes you increase your performance and make you kind of reach as far down within yourself you can get? Do you feel that actually helps you in the pool?
For sure, yes. Yeah, with people that are beside me that are going to want where I am, and I want to stay where I am. So yeah, it definitely helps.
Coach, now for the men's team, who are you expecting to perform and maybe kind of push for a top seed and maybe make a name for themselves at the PSAC championships?
Well, a guy that's already made a name for himself, Tony Romanini, he was off last year. And so this being his final year, looking for great things out of him. And I think he's going to do very well. Micah Cattell, he's looking really good right now in the sprints. Justin Ransel, we have Luke Frederick in the breaststroke, Josh Beabout in the distance events. I mean, we have a lot of quality guys. If they can just swim with, up to their potential, yeah, we're looking at, definitely top 8 out of them, maybe even get some all-conference, performances out of them.
Now for the women's team, Staci talked a little bit about herself and for the squad. From your perspective, what would you like to see from the women's team, knowing that it's a younger group this year, but knowing what they have accomplished and what name they've made for Edinboro in the past?
Again, I think it's just jump in and race. Don't be overwhelmed. Just do what they can do. Going through the recruiting process, I can see the potential in talking with them. Being every day at practice, watching them work hard. I know we have it in us. So again, it's the mental test and to kind of see where we can go from there. Are we going to win? Probably not. But can we be top 6 in the conference? Absolutely. And I think that's a realistic goal that I have for us. But again, it's the nice thing about swimming is it comes down to each individual, and having great swims and is gonna boast well for the team.
Let's hopefully that works out, and good luck to everyone. And you, I know you're going to be a little busy when it comes to those few days. So good luck, guys, and I'm sure we'll be talking in between PSACs and before you make that trip to Indianapolis for the Nationals. Stick around, as on the other side, we will start to hit the wrestling mat as the Edinboro wrestling team hosts Ohio State this upcoming Sunday in a big NWCA mat mayhem duel at 1 p.m. in Macomb Fieldhouse. We'll talk about that and more after this. The wrestling team is gearing up for the end of the season, its most important part of the season. But before the postseason, the Scots host Ohio State on Sunday at 1 p.m. as part of the NWCA Mat Mayhem. To talk about that and what else the future holds for the Edinboro wrestling team, I am now joined by assistant coach Cliff Moore and redshirt senior AJ Schopp. Coach, now let's start to look a little bit at the last week or so for the team before we start looking for the future. You just wrapped up the EWL dual meet title. You clinched a share of it with your win over Georgia Mason. With your win over Lock Haven on Friday, you got sole possession of it to finish your second straight perfect season in the EWL. 11 straight wins in the league, dating even farther back. What is it? I mean, I know you guys have bigger goals than the EWL title, but how nice is it to just kind of tack that on as well?
It's always nice. You want to win every duel you can, and duels are very interesting. Ryder had a very good team. They actually, I think, ranked ahead of us maybe when we wrestled them, and we were at their house, and it was a really tight duel, very exciting duel. Warren Bosch had a great overtime win to seal the duel, so that clinched that. Really, they were the second best team in the EWL, so it was great to get that win. And I think the team has done well. A couple setbacks here and there with some guys, and they need to get things turned around. But that's what we're looking to do, this next week.
So AJ, he says a couple guys have some setbacks. You have one that's was an unforeseen setback as well with your injury. Talk a little bit about that. What is the timeline looking like for yourself? What are you doing now to try to stay in shape while you're sidelined?
Well, the first couple weeks I wasn't doing as much because I was a little cautious about it. But now that I know that I'll be fine and it'll heal just fine. I'm pretty much doing everything right now except going live. So I've been drilling, lifting, conditioning, circuiting. We've been doing everything. And then obviously I've been doing a little extra because I don't need to be 100% for the weekend when we're peaking to perform like at a dual meet. So I've been doing extra and extra to kind of keep up and pretty much improve. But it's the first time I've been out. I don't think I've missed anything so far besides with this. So
now you think another few weeks and you'll be ready to roll probably for maybe West Virginia and then for EWLs. You seem like you're getting back to 100%.
Yeah, possibly for West Virginia. I doubt it, but the only thing that really matters right now is EWLs and nationals. So I'll be good for then because right now it's about a month away. So I got an extra month of what I had already. So I've already had 1 month and now we'll have one more.
Exactly. Now, how much does that bother you to have to sit on the sidelines, especially during duels? I know the home ones, you're jumping up and down. You're asking for a 2-point takedown. You're jumping and screaming just as much as the coaches are. Yeah. So how much does that kill you inside to not be out there with your guys wrestling?
Yeah, it's not fun, especially the past couple dual meets. I'm sitting there and Mines is out there wrestling, and I know in my head every time Mines wrestles, I'm right there next. So I'm usually getting ready at that time, and then I gotta think in my head I'm not.
You're not.
So
yeah.
it sucks, but I'm worried about focusing on this and improving and finishing strong at the end of the year.
Now, Coach, AJ was one injury, but another one was suffered at 157 with Austin Matthews. Had a great start this year at the good showing at the Eastern Michigan, and then in the first dual meet, I think he had arguably the most exciting match against Pitt in the opening duel as well this season. But then he was sidelined with a knee injury, and it was decided he's out for the year. He's going to apply for a redshirt season, correct?
Yeah, that happens. When he reaches his eligibility in the future. So, if we felt like that was the best thing for him, even though it hurts the team a little bit. We got some very solid kids in there, right now to cover that spot. So, we just felt that was the best decision for him. And I mean, he's looking really good. He's a very strong wrestler. And I think even with this setback, he's been improving it, even as he's been sitting out. So we're very excited about him in the future.
So we got the EWL dual meet title wrapped up, the second straight one for the team. Now a big focus is a couple days away. Sunday, Ohio State coming to Macomb Fieldhouse as part of the Matt Mayhem for the NWCA. You guys, you're on a high note. You're also trying to prepare for March. Ohio State just upset Minnesota this past weekend, so they're coming in on a high note. What are your early thoughts of this match? This is going to be a big one on Sunday.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the biggest thing I think about is Mitchell Port and Logan Stieber. That's the first thing that pops in my mind, and I'm excited about it. I'm pretty sure Port is too. I can tell he's preparing mentally for it. We'll get him ready. With what how he needs to feel physically. Hopefully he's ready for a big win, and hopefully we can get this pack the gym and have a huge crowd back there screaming down Logan Stieber's neck. So.
Yeah, so at 141, just to kind of fill in the blanks there, you got number 1 versus number 2 at 141. Probably the biggest match of the night in the nation, arguably. I mean, you're not really going to get too many 1 versus 2s during the season like this. AJ, I know you're not really preparing for Ohio State, obviously, with the injury, but what's it like in the room right now? Are guys amped more than ever because the Buckeyes are coming to Macomb in a few days?
Honestly, it's not like it's it's not like we're wrestling, practicing, conditioning, all this stuff up for the Ohio State match, where it's just any other match.
That's just a pit stop along the way.
Yeah, it's just one of the other stops on our way to national. So it's not like we're going to do a little extra something, to try to go for that match, because we're going one match at a time. So yeah, it is going to be a fun, exciting match, but we're preparing just like we should for every other match.
So for the Ohio State one, if you win that one, as it's part of the Matt Mayhem duels, if you win, you go to the championship rounds, which will be hosted by the University of Iowa, and then that'll be on the 21st, 22nd of February. But before that would even occur, you have the 20th, you have West Virginia in your regular season duel finale as of right now on the schedule. What would you like to see from that? Is there any kind of different tactic going into that one, with it being the last one and pretty close to EWLs, or is it just kind of business as usual?
I mean, you want guys to always perform well, but especially toward the end of the season. If your performance is an indicator of how you're progressing and how you're developing, you want them to always be improving. And so, if we do have that duel, if we beat Ohio State, we will be traveling to Iowa. We wouldn't be wrestling that duel. We'd have to cancel it. So,
okay.
But we wrestled them earlier this year, and so we want to improve upon those matches. So, maybe we can turn around some of those losses that we had against them, some guys, and other guys try to increase their leads on them.
So I know Coach Flynn talked after the last home duel against Lock Haven. He said some guys are right now at their best and other guys have some things to work on. Overall, with the team, how happy are you with them? What would you like to see more from them? As AJ alluded to, you're working all the way to March. You're working towards EWLs and then Nationals at the end of March. We're getting into February now, so what are your thoughts on how they are individually?
I think our whole team is in great shape. Individually, everybody's got situations and things that they need to focus on. Whether it's always something that's every match they're having issues with, or it's with certain opponents. But and what you look for is just, I guess, an increased mental focus, in the practice room, and hopefully that translates over to the duels, and hopefully increased in their preparation for the matches, because a lot of times matches are won, during the week before, to where they need to be getting a steady amount of sleep every night, not letting stress and class and tests get to them, those types of things. So that's a big part of wrestling, is just preparation.
AJ, in your absence, Anthony Rivera has been filling in at 133. He's had to bump up from 125 to wrestle there. He's been wrestling hard. It might not show in the results at the end of the duel, but if you watch the matches, he's been working hard. Have you kind of helped him at all in that process, or what are your thoughts on his performance filling in for you?
Honestly, there's not much that I could really do, because I just recently got back into the room, on the mat actually, because I've been doing conditioning up until now. So me personally, I haven't really helped him, because I'm pretty much.
You need to help yourself
first.
first.
Right now, yeah. So I've been wrestling around with the coaches, just because they don't need to get better. So it's just me pretty much just drilling on them, so they don't have to really drill.
It's a tough thing to do, to move up a weight class and fill in, as he's a 125 pounder, and he's also has to weigh in with NCAA rules, to weigh in lower than the other guy, and we're just trying to tell him to give his best effort. We feel he's better than he's showing out there, but we also realize, he's outweighed and a lot of times he's outmatched. So we just want the best performance out of him we can.
You mentioned him moving up and how difficult that is for a weight class. Warren Bosch at heavyweight, he was a 197 pounder, moved up to heavyweight, and he's actually been on a nice streak of late, especially now in these last few duels. It's come down to these last few weight classes, and as you mentioned, at Ryder, he sealed it with an overtime victory. At Lock Haven, he was outweighed by, I think, 60 pounds by the guy he was facing on Friday night. What have you seen from Warren in the last few weeks and his emergence and maybe getting more comfortable at heavyweight?
Yeah, he's quicker than those guys. I feel he's just as strong as a lot of them. You know, he's just like you said, he's outweighed, so he's got to learn how to win against those guys that are outweigh him, and he's definitely capable of it. You know, he's getting a little more confidence on bottom. He was having trouble on bottom a lot, and he still had a little bit of trouble against Lock Haven kid on bottom, but he needs to have more confidence that, and I think he's getting there with that with the bottom, because that's a big part of heavyweight, and any weight class is a big part is being able to get out from bottom against guys. So he's had more confidence there, and he's getting to his shots a little better and finishing early on, you know, in matches where, you know, a lot of times one takedown in a heavyweight match decides the match, and that's what we try to tell him. You just need to get one takedown.
Well, let's see if he can get more comfortable and move along. And AJ, get yourself back and ready to go. Don't rush that, and so you can get back for the prime time, which is March at the end of the season, and you know they'll take care of the business along the way. Reminder for that Ohio State match that no student IDs nor complimentary passes will be accepted, as it is an NWCA event. Tickets will be on sale at the door, and there also is pre-sale as well. They will be $8 for adults and $4 for students. When we come back, I'll spotlight this week's Scots of the Week and also take a look at the upcoming athletic schedule. Congratulations to Mitchell Port of the wrestling team and Laurel Lindsay of the women's basketball team for being named this week's male and female Scots of the Week. Mitchell defeated Bobby Rame of Lock Haven by fall during Friday's match. That was his third straight win by fall and 11th pin of the season. Laurel had 13 points and 6 assists in the team's overtime win over Gannon and 14 points and 6 assists in the ladies' win over Mercyhurst on Saturday. Now let's take a look at the upcoming schedule of events. Indoor track and field will be busy Friday and Saturday at the Grand Valley State Big Meet. The wheelchair basketball team is at the University of Illinois tournament on Friday and Saturday. The basketball teams host both nationally ranked IUP squads on Saturday. Continuing on into the weekend, wrestling hosts Ohio State at 1 p.m. in Macomb Fieldhouse. And then on Wednesday, the basketball teams visit Clarion. That is a 5:30 and 7:30 tip for those contests. Be sure to go out and support Edinboro student athletes. That's all for this week. Be sure to tune in next week and go Borough.